Ah, that was fucked. The man had a heart attack. The Russian, no English, no ID on him. Eventually, the ambulance got here. He survived, his vitals came back. I'm gonna have to talk about this after. Building a life in Thailand. Well, that starts, for me at least, with being very frugal. And part of that means not using taxis and Bolts and Ubers every day. Of course, a lot of people choose to travel around using a motorbike or a scooter. But as I've learned this week, riding a bike comes with a certain degree of risk. If I'm traveling anywhere, it's either the BART bus or I'm walking. Wearing helmets is not so much of a thing here, we know that, but what I learned this week, tragically, is that the ambulance service is not as expedient as what I'm used to back in Australia. As I understand it, there's only 2 ambulances that operate around the whole Jomtien area. So naturally, in building a life here, safety and healthcare has to be on the topic today. So I'll start with the positives at my friend's condo. Everybody came out and tried their best to help the man. Before I saw it happening, they'd got him in a wheelchair. Prior to that, he collapsed. I could tell because he had some cuts on his knees and arms. But when I got there, he had very labored breathing. His face was almost blue, his fingertips were blue, which told me that there's not enough oxygen going around the blood. Judging by the symptoms, to me it looked like he was having a heart attack. Now, not a full-blown cardiac arrest, but a serious blockage. While his body was still breathing, he was taking probably 20% of a normal breath, and he definitely had some level of consciousness because he wasn't completely slumped over in the wheelchair. So at my work in the last 10 years in Australia, I've learnt that if the body's struggling for blood and oxygen, the best thing to do is to put someone horizontal on the ground. The body's trying to protect the important organs, which are here, here, and here. So if you lie someone down on the ground, it's easier for the blood to flow back up to where the body really needs it at that time. So with the help of some other residents, we got him out of the wheelchair and flat. He was alive still, but only just. The other residents and onlookers were fantastic. They checked his pocket to try and find his ID, find out if he was, if he had epilepsy or if he had diabetes, he needed insulin, that sort of thing. But an ambulance had been called. Now, apparently there's only 2 ambulances operating around the Jomtien area, and the Thai person that called explained that both those ambulances were already on a job. So at that point, there's very little you can do unless someone goes into full-blown cardiac arrest, in which case the only thing you can do is CPR and rescue breaths. Miraculously, when the ambulance arrived, the man had recovered slightly. He was less blue in the face, the breaths were a little bit deeper, and there was some life back in his eyes. How do I say this diplomatically? Okay, so in this situation in Australia, paramedics would arrive very swiftly. I think that they would assess that it's a heart attack, which means a massive blockage. So immediately they will put the patient on oxygen, most likely some IV drips with some blood thinners and there's a whole gamut of medication that our paramedics carry around to assist a person in this dire situation. They put him up on a stretcher and took him to the hospital. And this brings me to my next point. The man's friend said he was uninsured. So what would have happened at the hospital? I don't know. Of course, I learned something from being there and seeing that, and that is that if I was to have a motorcycle accident and I'm really hurt, there is no guarantee that an ambulance, that paramedics are going to be on the scene in enough time to save my life. Thus, for now, I'll be keeping my motorcycle or scooter use to a bare minimum, always wearing a helmet, and always riding slowly and carefully. But for the most part, BART buses and walking. I know it seems obvious, but I can't build a life here if I'm not breathing. So I came round to Emily on Soi 7 Jomtien for breakfast. I had a pad see ew, vegetarian, for about 75 baht. Now when I got off the plane at Bangkok, I weighed 95 kilograms, or that many pounds. Now, honestly, without even trying, and you saw my last video, I have still been drinking here and there. I am now weighing in at 90 kilograms, or that many pounds. I've been having 2 Thai meals a day, usually breakfast at about 11 o'clock, and then dinner at about maybe 6 p.m. But really only 2 solid meals a day. Primarily that's been to save money and live cheaply. But that on top of all the walking I've been doing, and because of the heat, probably some fluid loss, but I have been replenishing with heaps of water every day. So I'm really proud of myself, and it sort of happened without me even noticing. So I'd love to be 80 kilograms again, but we'll see. I love Soi 7 Jomtien. It's like half party street, cafes. It's just, I don't know, it's a really warm place. I like to come down here and have breakfast sometimes. If you're ever staying in Jomtien and you haven't been here, come to Jomtien Soi 7, trust me. Right across the road from the beach and great bars down the other end. Okay, I like to smile at everyone, right? Some people might find it uncomfortable, but it's just something I've done my whole life. There's something strange that I've noticed here. Now, I always smile at Thai people and they 99% of the time will smile or wave back and say, good morning, hello, whatever. Expats, not so much. Now, I'm not talking about Russians who culturally, it may not be a thing to smile back. It's not part of their culture, right? And I'm also not talking about despondent alcoholics who are sick and unwell, but just like other Australians, British, Americans, Canadians, people living in my building that will avert their eyes when walking past another Westerner. I certainly did not move halfway across the world to build a life here in Thailand, not to be friendly to people. And it just blows my mind. We're in this beautiful paradise with Buddhist undertones and the glorious weather and the food. Like, what's not to smile about? I guess I better share with you the big news, which is a massive part of building a life in Thailand here, getting an income. Guys, you're not gonna believe it. I got a job, bar manager on Soi 7, Pattaya. This last week, I've done 3 tough trial days and they put me through some serious hoops. I rose to the challenge and I'm proud of myself. Locked in a job that's gonna see me very busy most nights of the week. Pay is not fantastic and it's a huge responsibility. I'll be looking after 16 females, all the punters, watching the books. Please, by all means, if you're around the Pattaya area or it's definitely if it's your first time visiting Pattaya, pop in, come see me. I'll be in one of the 3 super cool bars on Soi 7, only about 300 meters back from Pattaya Beach. And I will just apologize in advance. When I'm there, I'm not YouTuber Sammy, I'm not relaxed, silly Sammy, I'm on the money, working Sammy. So if you come past and I'm running around like a chicken with his head cut off, please forgive me, you'll know that it's just because of the workload and all the sort of things that I'm trying to manage. So I'm working tonight, I'm heading up there very shortly. I'll take some footage when I get there, okay? But also, I had like an opening night where I invited Keis down from Bangkok and a bunch of people, so I'll throw in that footage now as well. Second road, as promised, here we are, Soi 7. This is my bar here on the left, and then a few more down the road. Walked into the bar and Brad was, thank you, a parting gift. I know he was heading to the airport today, so thank you, sir. Anyway, I'll roll that footage now. Hook up corner. You never know what you might get.